It's alright. What's up, my dudes? No Man's Sky next, first impressions. So, I know a lot of you guys have been wanting me to come in here and make this video because you know that I've been following this game since the very, very beginning, very earliest trailers of this game, been playing it since it first came out, put about I don't know, 200, 300 hours into the PS4 version of this game, and I pretty much know everything about this game, man. Like, I know what they were trying to do with it at the beginning. I know the original goal and vision of the game. I know the whole point to the game and the purpose of it and all of that around it. So a lot of you guys come to me for my opinions because a lot of times I will talk about things that most other YouTubers out there just don't seem to talk about with No Man's Sky. It's like they really don't understand what the game was meant to be from the very, very beginning. You know, they get all caught up in the base building and the vehicles and all this other stuff, and they just don't understand what it was really meant to be. So I cannot stress enough how much this is just a first impressions video, okay? This is not me saying, hey guys, I've been playing No Man's Sky Next for 500 hours and I understand every little intricate detail of it. It's not like that at all, dude, okay? This is truly first impressions of No Man's Sky Next. I've been to about 2 solar systems, 10 planets in total, and what I wanted to do with this video is go in here and try to talk about the things that are actually important to the game itself, to the actual gameplay. A lot of people get all caught up in the new features of No Man's Sky Next, and there are some really big brand new features to it, like actual multiplayer in the game. You got character customization, you've got third person in the game, but I really want to go in there and talk about the actual game of No Man's Sky. A lot of people don't get that, but the actual game of it is the planet variation and the creature variation and how unique and interesting the biomes are, and that's what is actually the game to No Man's Sky. I mean, that's really what it is. Like, it's how unique, interesting, and worthy of discovering all of the different stuff in the game is. But most people out there, you know, the first thing they want to start talking about is everything but that. They want to go talk about vehicles, base building, quest, storyline in the game, you know, and all this other stuff, but it's just not, that's not really what the game is all about. So either way, let's just go ahead and get right into it. So when it comes to the actual planet generation, okay, this is one of the biggest things you'll notice right away if you've been playing No Man's Sky for quite a while. You'll notice one of the biggest new changes to that is just simply, I feel like, the layout of the planets, okay? So, and one big thing to that as well is when you're on the outside of a planet and you're flying into it, they have improved massively on the where what you're seeing from the outside is what you're getting when you actually land on the planet. You get what I'm saying? It, like, No Man's Sky had a really big problem where you would see a planet from the outside and you would like see a lake or a water pond or something from the outside, and you would fly down to it, and then all of a sudden it would disappear. It's like it would just kind of warp away before you got to it, and then there wouldn't actually be a water pond there, or there wouldn't actually be a lake there when you got down on the planet. So they have massively improved that. Like, what you're seeing from the outside is basically exactly what you're getting once you get to the planet. So I was really happy to see that improvement, but in just an overall sense, it, like, there is some things that are pretty good improved. Like, I feel like they are like pretty decently improved, but there's also other things that I just cannot believe that they haven't fixed them yet. Like, there is just certain things that I just scratch my head. Like, there is certain things that are still in this game that I seriously would have thought that they would have had fixed before the first update of this game came out, and it still hasn't been fixed. So, but I'm going to go in there and try to talk about some of the positive things at first, and then we'll get into some of the things that I didn't really like about the No Man's Sky Next update. Okay, so I was telling you guys about how the outside of the planet, a lot more like what you're thinking the, you know, the actual on planet would be. and also just the simple layout. Okay, so like now it feels like there's a lot better of a chance of coming down on a planet where it'll have like half of the planet will be a humongous ocean, and then the other half will be kind of like a really big landmass with cool like little water ponds and stuff that actually looks like a true lake. You know, this right here actually looks like somewhat of a true lake or a really big pond, but you can fly. Like, let me get over here in my ship real quick. If I fly to the other side of the planet, I'll be on something that doesn't even look like the same sort of biome layout. You know what I'm saying? I don't know what's going on right here. Yeah, that's new for sure. Completely invisible ghost fish creature splashing about. There's definitely a couple little bugs, little issues like that with it, but let me fly to another part of the planet here. Where is my ship? Okay. Let me fly up over there and just kind of show you the variation that they have seemed to have added with just the layout of it. Like, you would not, it seems like now you've got more variation within the planet itself, within that individual planet layout wise, instead of just feeling like the entire planet is one kind of layout. You get what I'm saying? So like, you seen how we was right there, that little pond, that little water pond there. Let's fly up over and I'll kind of show you some different stuff. So like, if I just fly right up over that little valley right there, and I land right here, then it would just be like in the middle of the forest. Like, you know, there's hardly any water here at all, right? It's just kind of like this cool, normal, kind of plainsy, but a little bit rocky style terrain. Well, if I fly up out of here, okay, see if we can get up out of here for a second so I can try to show this off. And if I fly, see if I can get to the right spot here. Let's try to get more. Okay, that's looking pretty good right over there. You can see how the outside of the planet is a lot more like what you're thinking when you get down to it, you know? So let me see if I can actually find this spot here. So here we go. Let's see. Okay, so flying down to a different spot on the same exact planet, and look how different it looks right here. Look how vast this ocean is compared to what we were just on right there. You would not see this in a previous No Man's Sky update. Look how vast and open. I mean, that literally looks like a straight up real life ocean right there, dude. And we were just on a different part of the planet that was one humongous landmass, and you wouldn't even really know that there was an ocean around it. That is good planet generation right there. That's what I'm talking about, Hello Games. Yes, very, very happy about seeing that. Look at that, dude. Like, far as the eye can see, water out there. But that's not how the entire planet is. You get what I'm saying? It would be cool if there are some planets that are like that, but it seemed like before you would get a planet that would just like the entire planet would feel like the same kind of terrain generation layout, right? So you would either have a planet that was just the whole planet would be more ocean style and a couple of islands here and there on it, or you would just have a whole planet that was all one humongous landmass with hardly any water on it at all. But it's like they've been able to meld and kind of warp and vortex those two things together now to make this really cool, where like different parts on the planet, different areas on the planet actually feel like a truly different type of, you know, terrain layout and generation to it. So that was a really cool thing to see there. Definitely shout out to him for being able to improve upon that. So another thing is obviously all the massive graphical updates that they put into No Man's Sky next. So your view distance seems to be a lot further than it used to. Just the particle effects, lighting effects, everything seems you know, quite a bit better from what it was. The water looks better than what it was before. You know, they kind of got rid of that weird little like bizarre lighting effect where it would almost like make it to where it didn't even feel like you're actually under the water. So they fixed some of those graphical issues. Everything's looking pretty good now from what I've been able to see. So let's talk about some of the negatives, okay? As far as just the sheer you know, generation and procedural nature of the game. So as far as the creatures, this is probably the most disappointed aspect to No Man's Sky Next for me, is the creature generation, man. It just, oh boy, it's rough here, dude. Let me just give you a little example right here, okay? So I've went to about 10 planets in No Man's Sky Next, and just about every single creature that I've seen has been a creature model that I've already seen in No Man's Sky before. I've not seen any new creature models in the game yet at all. You remember that little crab creature that you saw from the very beginning in every single cave out there? That's one of the first creatures I saw in No Man's Sky Next. It's that same exact crab creature model. I'm seeing the same like caterpillar trimmer creature. You guys know which one I'm talking about. If you're a No Man's Sky fan out there, a lot of the kind of medium-sized groundhog style creatures, very, very similar in model design. Not a whole lot of variation with how big, you know, you're not going to find like a megalodon-sized creature under the water. It's just not going to happen. So I was very, very disappointed on that aspect. I just cannot believe that they wouldn't have at least updated that some or made better creature models, newer creature models, just something, you know. It just, I don't know, there's just something weird and bizarre about that, where it's like you feel like you're on completely new planet generation, but the creatures feel like something you were seeing from day one in No Man's Sky. But they have fixed that to some degree. They really did They've added some little nuanced kind of animations to the creatures, so you'll see the fish kind of swimming in a circle motion instead of just a, you know, straight line all the time kind of motion there. It gives it a little bit more realism. Some of the creatures have kind of a herding effect to them now, where they will bunch up in groups and cool stuff like that. But as far as the way they actually look, the models themselves, I mean, it's really not anything new. It's not anything that you haven't already seen in No Man's Sky. It's really not. I don't think they actually touched that at all for No Man's Sky Next over the past year. I don't think they touched the actual creature generation element of it. I really don't. Like, you see this big spider creature out here? This, like, kind of alien-looking spider creature? I mean, that's a cool creature. I'm not saying it's not. And that's a pretty good size creature right there. But what I'm saying is, like, I've already seen that exact model, you know, probably 50 times in the game. It's just like they've got to start adding newer models to it, man. They got to start putting some more variation with just the simple looks of the creatures. But check out how different this looks from whenever I first landed on the planet and from that really vast ocean area that I was on. Look how cool this is, man. You know, with No Man's Sky Next, there's certain things that I'm like super excited about as far as the planet generation and stuff like that. I think they're making big steps on that. But then there's other aspects that I feel like they're really behind the 8 ball on it, man. Like, with the discoveries page, oh my word. This is one of those things I cannot believe that they have not fixed this. So let me just go in here and show you that real quick. Well, I guess I don't even really have to show it to you because it hasn't been changed at all. The discoveries page is still just as bad as it always has been. In fact, it's actually worse because now you can't even discover the rock formations. What the hell is that, Sean Murray? I don't understand that. Like, when the game first came out, you could scan and discover rocks, plants, and creatures and the waypoints on the planet. You know, the little areas where you could kind of go to it and you could scan and get like a certain waypoint on there. But that was all the different things you could scan and then actually go in there and look at on your discoveries page. Well, now you can scan a rock, but you can't actually discover it. Like, there's no place to go back and look at all the different rocks that you've discovered. So if you see a really cool rock prop on a planet and you go and scan it and try to discover it, you can't go back and look at it. What is going on with that? I don't understand that at all, man. Like, I really don't. I do not see what the point is on that. But also, the fact that now with the discoveries page, like, let me see if I can show this off a little bit. You go in there, right? And if you discover a creature, you're seeing it in this tiny little thumbnail vision where you can't rotate it. You can barely see it because it's so small. And it's like, what is going on? You know how at the very early trailers of No Man's Sky, how they were portraying it like you were going to be able to go back and look at your discoveries in a full screen mode, like where you could really see your discoveries in a big blown up picture and rotate it, and they would kind of like play through their animations and you'd be able to see all of your different discoveries in a really good way in the game, but you just can't. It's still just as bad as it was from the very beginning of the game coming out. Like I said, it's actually worse now because you can't even discover rocks now. And I actually think you could rotate your discoveries when the game first came out. Now you can't even rotate them. It's like this completely still thumbnail image of your discovery, and that's all you can go back and look at. And that's one of the biggest points to the game, people, is going on planets and discovering things, actually scanning and discovering it. Believe it or not, that's one of the biggest things to No Man's Sky. That's one of the biggest points to the entire game. It really is, man. That's really what the game was all about to begin with. So it's just so bizarre that like something that's that important to the game and that big of a deal, something they were trying to portray as that big of a deal from the very get-go, is still like they haven't even touched it. It just, like I'm saying, the discoveries page is something I thought they would have fixed that before the Foundation update. I thought that would have been fixed like within a week after the game came out, but it's still just as bad as it's always been. Let's talk about the actual forest element to the game now, right? So that was one big thing there towards the kind of us seeing this No Man's Sky Next, thinking that there was going to be some really cool forest in the game and stuff. So basically, like, the trees can be placed, seems like a lot closer together and a lot more abundant, so you do get a bit more of that jungly, foresty kind of feel now, and also you can get kind of bigger bush props and stuff placed around it as well, it seems like. So it definitely does give you a little bit more of that feeling, but nothing in this No Man's Sky Next has been like super extreme, like, oh my gosh, that's so amazing, that's exactly like how I thought the game would be from the E3 trailers. Like, it's not quite to that extent, but it is incremental, you know, improvements to a lot of different stuff in the game. I feel like it really is like it's just incremental, pretty good improvements, but not like to the level I think it needs to be. You understand? Like, I still think there is room for improvement on a lot of different aspects to this game right here. So, but I do feel like the trees and stuff, just the variation of that and the placement of that has definitely been improved, and feeling like the trees can be a little bit taller, and which is really cool, but you're not going to hop down on a planet and see a 100-foot tall mushroom or something like that, or some really cool, humongous alien, you know, plant type of forest like you would in some of the No Man's Sky mods, if any of you guys have seen that, where they will basically take, like, they'll go in there and take a really cool prop, like it may be like one of these underwater props like that right there or something, and they'll like completely expand the size of it times 100, and you've got like a ton of those in a certain area, and it looks like you're in this really humongous, super alienated kind of forest feeling to it. So that's not really in the game at all, right? So you still got this sort of, it's like there still is a restriction to the way that the rocks and the plants and stuff are made on the planet. You're not going to see humongous skyscraper tall alien objects or trees or, you know, something crazy like that. It's really not to that extent, but it is improved. You know, it is incrementally improved to a certain extent there, man, for sure. So, and I feel like the caves have been somewhat improved upon. The underwater has been somewhat improved upon, but none of it is like super extreme. That's what I'm trying to get across to you. None of it is like, oh my gosh, dude, that's so amazing. Like, that's just what I thought it would have been like from the very beginning. It's not quite to that level, but I am very happy to see that it's like the caves now, it's like there will be certain areas where you won't have so many underground rock props, so it doesn't look like this super repetitive. Every time you go under a cave, everything looks super identical, even though the props themselves do look fairly identical to what you're used to in a cave. It's like they're able to make certain areas of the cave where it's got more plant life in it. It's just a little bit more bare in certain areas under the cave, so it just makes them a bit more interesting. I was happy to see that for sure. I did see a cave entrance somewhere around here. I'm trying to find it so I can kind of show that to you. But this is the third-person gameplay right here. So let's see, where's that little cave entrance? I knew it was kind of a little bit tricky to get to here. I'm not exactly sure where it is. Yeah, I think that's it right down there. Okay, we'll go to that real quick. Take a little look-ski. Okay, but yeah, that's like some of the first things that I noticed is like the underwater is a little bit more interesting. The caves are a little bit more interesting, not so repetitive. This isn't really a cave. This is just kind of a little, almost like a cave area, but not quite. They got that new little hazardous plant there where it will spit out some toxins at you. That was definitely good. I think they need to add quite a bit more stuff like that in the game. Because at the beginning, all you had was that one little kind of vine thing that would whip out and attack you, but they need more of that. You know, they need stuff that's like will just randomly pop out of the ground and swallow you, or just cool stuff like that, and something that'll pop out of the ground in a cave and attack you, whether it be like some sort of rock formation that does it, or creature, or plant, or something of some sort, right? But yeah, I mean, I don't know. When it comes to the third person, thought it was a little bit bizarre. And listen, I have no problem with having third person in No Man's Sky. I think it's great. I think they should give people that option. They definitely should. That's a wonderful thing to have in the game. I do. I think it's cool flying in your ship really low down on the water and seeing it with the little water effects wisping up some of the water, and that's something new that they've added there where you can fly basically right on water. Very, very cool how they added that. But what I find to be weird about this whole third person thing is it almost seems like they've made it to where they're making it look like No Man's Sky is a third person game. It's almost like they are totally eliminating first person. I mean, I know they haven't, but that's almost what the vibe that you get from it at the beginning. You really do get that feeling, because whenever I first hopped in this game, I couldn't even figure out how to get it into first person, which is so weird. I played a bunch of No Man's Sky. Like, I'm not a complete scrub with the menus and stuff of No Man's Sky, but even me, I couldn't even figure out how to get it into first person. It automatically puts you in third person when you first get into the game, and it's just so weird because No Man's Sky was always meant to be a first person experience. That's what it's meant to be. You know, from the very, very beginning, that's what the game was meant to be. So I just find it to be kind of weird how it, like, when you first start the game, you're automatically in third person. You got to go through these little menus right here and actually change it to first person, which this right here, it's not that obvious. Like, it's not like you just hit the back button or hit some kind of button on the controller and it, changes your camera view. It's not that simple. Like, you actually have to know where to go in these little menus right here and figure this out. It's not very hard now that I've figured it out, but I'm just saying, for the person that hasn't ever really played No Man's Sky, they may not even think it even has first person in it. Like, I'm dead serious. They may not even realize that it has it. And it's just kind of weird. Like, when you warp to another solar system, if you're in first person in your ship, it'll automatically kind of take you into third person when you're warping to another solar system. I just find that to be kind of weird, almost like how it looks when you're playing Destiny, going to at least the original Destiny. I know when you were going to certain areas, how it kind of show your ship in third person flying to a different spot. It kind of does that, and like at certain times when you're going up to monoliths in first person, it'll kind of like take you back to third person. Very, very weird. I don't know, it kind of gave me a weird feeling. I don't really understand Sean's real goal there with that. Like, I get that you're trying to put third person in there, and I don't have any problem with that at all. I really don't. Like, by all means, put third person in there, but don't make it seem like No Man's Sky is all of a sudden a third person, like that is the main camera view in the game. It doesn't make sense to take it to that extent. It doesn't. Like, I feel like when you first get into No Man's Sky, it should be automatic first person. And when you warp to other solar systems in first person, you should still be in first person in your ship like you used to be in No Man's Sky back in the day. Like, I still feel like that's how it should be, not this where you start in third person. You got to, look up on the internet, how do you even get it in first person if you want it in first person, all that. Like, I don't really understand that part of it, because No Man's Sky, it's always meant to be that first person experience, man. Like, that's what it's meant to be. So when you talk about the actual base building in the game, I'm very impressed with what they've done with that. I mean, super impressed, dude. Like, it is awesome how they have managed to make it to where you can build a base anywhere you want to, under the water, on the land. You can just start constructing it anywhere, and it gives you this very cool feeling of like you're actually picking a spot. And I don't know, this game is starting to feel a lot more like your standard crafting survival games out there, like where you start off, you know, cut down this tree. You're actually shooting it down with a laser in this game, but you know what I'm saying. Cut down this tree, you know, get some wood and build your door, build your house little by little, build you a little mini shack. Well, that's kind of what this game is now. Like you build it anywhere, so you don't go through this weird process of like feeling like you got to find this certain inhabitable base planet and then finding that certain area on the planet. When it's that restricted, it takes a lot away from what base building is supposed to be to begin with. It's supposed to feel like you can build it anywhere. You know, now it's got this cool feeling of you build your base, you put your refinery in the base, you put I think there's like a computer module of some sort down there, so you're kind of like building your little house like you would in any of those other survival crafting games, like, you know, Minecraft, 7 Days to Die, The Forest, all those different games. No Man's Sky, the core kind of beginning gameplay loop is starting to feel a lot more similar to those games now, which I think is fine. I don't think that's anything wrong. I think that's actually how No Man's Sky should be. I think it should be a little bit more like your standard crafting survival games out there, but the difference in No Man's Sky is you have unlimited places to go. That's what's so cool about it, right? Like, now it's to the point where No Man's Sky, you can build anywhere you want to. You can build as much as you want to, if I'm not mistaken. If you put as many of them little terminals you put down, that's how many more bases you can build. So if I'm not mistaken, I'm pretty sure you can build, you know, however much you want to on this planet, and then go over here to this other planet, build however much you want to on that one, then go over there to that planet, build however much you want to on that one. It really is basically like unlimited in that sense. So yeah, very, very cool to have that in the game. I'm so happy they figured out how to do that, because that was something when they first put the base building in there and seeing how it was first implemented, I was very, very worried about that at the beginning, man. I just thought, dude, there is no way they're ever going to get that figured out to where you can just build it anywhere like you can in most survival games, because of this game being you know, a procedurally generated universe, not just multiple galaxies. Okay, we got massive universes. Can't go to all the planets if you spent the rest of your life, your grandkids' life, your great-grandkids' life, your millionth grandkids' life. If their entire lives were spent just going to new planets on No Man's Sky, they still wouldn't be to every planet. You get what I'm saying? Like, it's insanity, the size of this game. That's what makes it so cool. You know, and now that you're getting a lot of these other survival elements that you expect in a lot of other games, and giving you kind of something to do, like work towards, you can start building your base up, start putting different stuff in it, go over there and dig under the ground and find some new blueprint for something. You can come over here and do this, and then now you can build windows all of a sudden on your base, and then now you can do this and do that. But that's what separates No Man's Sky from everything else, is the fact that once you get tired of this complete, full-sized, like, each one of these planets is bigger than most any other survival games out there. It's actually bigger than most all of them. And what's cool about it is, it's like, if you get tired of this one, all it takes is just boom, fly up, find another planet and go to that, and you got another full-size planet to completely discover and explore and build bases on and do whatever you want to on it. So, and then if you get tired of all 4 or 5 of the planets in this solar system, then you jolt off out of this little solar system and go to another solar system, and then you go to another solar system, then you go to another solar system, and then once you've went to all 10 of those solar systems, then you go to these other 5 million, trillion, thousand, quintillion solar systems. It's like crazy, dude. Oh my god, I just can't get over that about this game. It gives me chills every time I go to the galactic map in this game. It's like I'll go over there and just think about the sheer scale of that one planet I'd been on. I could sit there and make an entire video on one planet. One planet, and each one of these stars has 4, 5, 6 different planets in them. And you just think, like, just in this one image right here, dude, It would take me literally probably a year to discover every planet in every one of these solar systems right here. Like, I'm not even shitting you, dude. And then you think, okay, let me try to just show you this, okay? So I start backing up slow, okay? You're starting to see more and more and more. Now it's like, okay, it's going to take me probably 2 years to discover every single one of those planets in all those solar systems. Now it's going to take me like 5 years to discover all of these planets that I'm seeing on screen now. And then it's like, now it's going to take me my entire life to discover every single one of those planets and those stars that I just saw right there. In just that short amount of time. It would take literally probably my entire life of gameplay time to actually go to all that. And then you just keep going, man. And it's just like, good God. And I'm only in one galaxy in the game, man. The infinite scale is just something that oh my God, man. Like, this game is so amazing just for that. If you don't even consider anything else about the game, just for that simple fact, that is what makes this game so amazing, dude. Like, it literally is a universe. It literally is galaxies upon galaxies, true scale, people. Like, most people just don't understand how the actual massiveness of No Man's Sky. And once they get their procedural generation and their variation of everything like it needs to be, then it'll be fucking golden, dude. That's what I'm saying. Like, if they can get those creature models, humongous megalodon creatures, super tall plant life, alienated worlds, lava, volcanoes, rivers, actual ice on planets, super deep oceans, water-only planets. Like, you know, once they get to that point of variation on this stuff, man, then it will feel like every time you go to a new planet, it's like a whole new experience. And it's going to create this infinite gameplay feeling to the game. It's going to create a never-ending gameplay experience. I mean, it honestly will, man. So that's just what's so cool about No Man's Sky right there. I mean, that's actually everything to it, man. It's the just being able to go places no one has ever been to before, see things that no one's ever, like, literally, not even the creators of the game has ever actually seen what you were seeing, because it's procedurally generated. But it's like, at the current state of it, a lot of things like the creatures, some of the you know, rock props and certain biomes and stuff, it's like they just don't have quite enough variation. It's like you'll start seeing similar stuff that you've already seen before a little bit quicker than I would expect for you to, but it's like they're just slowly, little by little, incrementally improving upon all that. So super big shout out to them. Finally put the rings around the planet. That's a really cool thing. But wouldn't it be so cool if you could just come over here on one of these asteroids and just land on it? I'm not even saying there has to really even be anything on it, but just being able to actually land on it would be so cool, dude. I don't know, man. That, to me, that would be sick. And then having random things where it's like a super big asteroid out here, which is kind of like maybe a fourth of the size of a moon in the game, and you can run around on that asteroid and discover stuff and have some really cool alien creature that's out in space, like a space whale just comes across and swallows the entire asteroid and you. Like, certain stuff like that would make this game insane, dude. It would make it so cool. But yeah, pretty good improvements in certain areas with No Man's Sky Next. Certain things, like I said, definitely nowhere near where I want them to be, but other things, like, I feel like they're making massive advancements on specifically the layouts of planets. That's one of the biggest things to No Man's Sky Next that I can see with actual generation of it. And it's really cool that they're adding character customization. I think it's an awesome thing to have in there. And then making it to where, you know, you got freighters, frigates. They're adding a lot of little stuff like that in there as well. In the multiplayer, we'll see how they actually end up expanding upon that in the future. So it'll be cool to see if it can actually get to that original No Man's Sky sort of vision that they had for multiplayer, where it's like you can just come across any random people, start having true galactic hubs where you've got 100 people standing in one spot on a planet or something. I think that'd be very, very cool if the multiplayer can ever get to that extent. Right now, it's really more of just a 4-player co-op thing. I'm not exactly sure if you can run into random people with your 4-player group of people. I'm not exactly sure, but there is true multiplayer in there now. You know, you can build bases with your friends. You can do anything with your friends. Trade inventory stuff with your friends, inventory items and stuff like that. But yeah, very, very happy with terrain layout generation improvements. The water looks pretty good in the game now. Definitely happy with some of the improvements they made to that, but she needs some massive, massive love on this right here, this discoveries page. I mean, this is kind of an inexcusable thing to have it to this point, but when it comes to No Man's Sky, it's like I can sit here and complain about, you know, the discoveries page all I want to, and it's like, but then I go to the galactic map and realize, dude, this is the first game that has ever literally made an infinite space, like an infinite scale of quintillion amounts of worlds, true real-life size planet worlds out there with randomly generated creatures, plants. Like, even though it's not to the extent I want it to be, it is still absolutely monumental what Hello Games has done. Like I'm saying, and like a lot of other people have said, I mean, they're, you know, decades ahead of every other gaming company out there. Like, there's certain aspects to No Man's Sky that'll drive you nuts, like super repetitive aspects to it, but man, the core of the game and what they've been able to accomplish, that they've accomplished the hardest part in No Man's Sky. That's what I find so interesting about it. You know, they've got that down. Like, they've gotten the entire system of flying down to a planet, truly having quintillion amounts of planets. They truly are real life-size planets. You know, all that stuff is there. The most important part to No Man's Sky and what it was actually trying to be from the beginning is in the game. They have that, but it's kind of like the substance of it, the actual deepness of it is not quite there, right? Like, it's the biggest ocean you've ever seen in your life, but it's not that deep, you know, but it's like, it's just update by update, it's just getting a little bit deeper, a little bit deeper. They're fixing this, fixing that, improving upon that, making that a little better, doing that a little bit more. So yeah, man, I mean, all in all, No Man's Sky Next, it's all right. It's an all right update. I'll take it, dude, for sure. I think it's good to see that they realized what was going wrong with their terrain generation. They realized what was going wrong with their super restricted base building. They realized, you know, all that different stuff to it. Those are very big steps, big leaps forward for No Man's Sky. The multiplayer for me wasn't that big of a thing. I mean, right, like, it's still not quite the multiplayer I want to be in the game yet. I'm looking for more like that OG experience of, like, if you run to a galactic hub, you're going to see 100 people standing there, or, you know, that true random encounter feeling, which I know is a super rare thing to actually have happen in the game, but certain stuff like that, you know, it'll be exciting when they really get the multiplayer to that level. But I think at this point, the most important thing to do is add more variation to creature sizes, movement types, animations, model types, colors, same thing with the rocks, plant life, all that different kind of stuff, and actually allowing us to discover every little thing on the planet. Like, even some of these bigger grass models here, I would like to be able to discover those, and some of the smaller rock models and stuff. You see, that was kind of what it was playing off from the beginning. You're going to be able to discover, rename, and upload every single thing in the game. And now they've got it to where you can actually name your ships, you can name your weapons, so they've improved upon that slowly but surely. But yeah, they've got to put that back in there where you can discover the rocks. You can actually discover them and not just scan them. You know, you can actually go in there and rename them and do stuff like that. But yeah, man, all in all, I'm kind of starting to drag this video out here. There's so much to talk about. Like, I haven't even made it to the character customization spot yet in the game. Haven't even made it to the actually having frigates with the freighters and all that kind of stuff. Haven't even played multiplayer in the game yet, but this is just my first impressions, man. You know, some of that stuff would take you a little while to get to, because to actually get the character customization, you have to, I think you have to put like a certain module in your base, and then that module is probably going to take a while to even get the blueprint to. So yeah, I apologize for not being able to see some of those bigger aspects in the game yet, but that's what a first impression is. Like, I'm not going to be able to see everything in the game before I make this video, but just wanted to go in there and talk about some of the the generation things that they've done with it, and I was very, very happy to see how that draw distance, that view distance really does give it more of a, whoa, doggies, whoo, boy, gotta be careful here, whoa, where's he going? That's one thing I've noticed too, how they've been able to, it's like some of the underwater creatures can spawn in some super shallow water now. So that's very, very interesting how they've got that in there. They do have a little bit of a bug, though, where if you, like, jump up out of the water while you're looking at an underwater creature, it'll totally disappear. And sometimes when you go back down in the water, you can't even see it anymore. Like that big underwater creature I was just looking at, he's totally disappeared. The squids that were over here, they've totally disappeared to a certain extent. There he is. So, yeah, so, you know, like, if I'm looking at him right there, that's getting big. That's pretty nice size, but that's a creature I saw. I saw a creature model that looked identically like that when No Man's Sky very first came out. You get what I'm saying? You see what I'm saying on the variation? Like, and I've seen those squids over there before, probably about 50 times in the game. So when I boost out like that, like, it literally makes the underwater creatures disappear. So, bit of a bug there, bit of a little things they got to work out, but all in all, decent update. Yeah, I mean, I love that they put the third-person character customization, the underground, I should say, ruins. They fixed a little bit of that, you know, super repetitive cave filling, and the terrain. It's fun to go to planets again now. Not even really for the creatures or certain stuff like that, but just the layouts of the, like, it actually feels like a game now as far as the terrain that you're on and the planet generation system of it. It actually feels like a real life planet, man. It doesn't just feel like you've got this copied and repeated mountain section over the entire planet, or you've got these same exact island formations over the entire planet, you know, where you land on it and then you've, like, basically seen the whole planet in about 5 seconds because the whole planet looks like that, right? It's not like that anymore. Now it's like you go to this part of the planet, it looks like this, then you fly way over there to the other side of the planet, and it looks totally different than that. So, very, very impressed by that. They've changed upon some of their sand decal work. Really happy about that. Sand doesn't look as repetitive as it did there before. Some of the just lighting, shaft, certain stuff, different stuff they've added. I was a little bit disappointed to not see the nighttime of some planets be more extreme than they are. I was kind of expecting that would have been in the game at this point. You know, really making nighttime actually feel like nighttime. I think that's something the game needs really bad, and making nighttime underwater actually be dark. You get what I'm saying? Like, this is pretty much straight up nighttime out here, and it really doesn't even look dark at all. Like, I would not even have to use my torch here. When I go under the water, I can see crystal clear like it's daytime. It should not be like that. That's one really big aspect they need to fix. I'm not saying every planet needs to be like pitch black dark when you go into the dark side of it, but I'm just saying there needs to be a lot more planets where you literally have to use your torch to even see in front of you. You know, it's like it's that dark on the planet. Could you imagine how fucking cool that would be in No Man's Sky? Like, flying down to the dark side of a planet, and then not even really being able to see in front of you very far, and then not knowing if there's some massive, whatever, you know, hostile creature about to come attack you, or swimming in super dark water where you can't see very far underneath you, and you don't know if there's going to be a giant squid come up and grab you out of nowhere. That's the kind of gameplay elements No Man's Sky needs, like, so bad. I mean, that will put the icing on the cake on this game right here, man. If they can start getting those sort of gameplay elements in there, that'll be so cool to see. And like in some of the early day trailers, like you guys saw, where the rhinos would be running through the trees and those super big snake creatures slithering on the grass, like that when they get that variation to the creatures, I feel like it's really going to make this game what it was supposed to be. And that level of, like, having a tree like that right there, but like 5 times that tall, right? And being able to look up at it and be like, whoa, dude, that's super alien. or you know, just cool stuff like that, or have some random little area on the planet where if you go run over there to it and you jump on it, it vortexes you to a different part, random different part on the planet. Just cool little stuff like that, you know. It needs those little nuances, needs that stuff to it, just to make it more exciting, more interesting. But yeah, man, either way, that's my first impressions of No Man's Sky Next. Super impressed on certain aspects, fairly disappointed in other aspects, but all in all, love to see them continuing working on the game. Super proud of Sean Murray and Hello Games. I know they haven't gotten everything perfect. Some things they haven't gotten right, but god damn it, they're trying. They're going at it. They're still working on it. They're still going to update it even past this. They got big plans for this game, man. I mean, I think they're going to work on this game for a long time. And I'm super excited about that because there for a minute, there towards that Atlas Rises and the, not the Foundation, but the Pathfinder update, I was thinking the game was going to die out around that time because they weren't adding enough in their updates, and it just felt so stagnant. And I really thought the people would have just quit playing it and they would have quit working on it. But now they come out with this No Man's Sky Next. It's like everybody's back into it, revamped on it, and now it's like, what are they going to do next? You know, it's like so cool for the future of the game, and I just think it really is true. It's like, how did they go back to working on anything else? You know, how does Hello Games do that? I mean, if I made a infinite universe like that, I would be working on this game forever. I mean, seriously, that's what I would do. So I feel like that's what Sean Murray wants to do. I feel like No Man's Sky is going to be a forever evolving. As long as that company is going and as long as people are purchasing No Man's Sky, I think it'll go to the next console generation. You know, you'll kind of have like a No Man's Sky, I don't know what they would call it, but you get what I'm saying, like on the PS5, and then the Xbox 2, you get what I'm saying? Like they'll have No Man's Sky on that, and then stuff like that, right? So it'll continue to evolve, and that little cloud effect they got on some of the planets looks really cool now. But yeah, man, I just feel like it's one of those games that how could this ever end? I don't see how this will ever end right here. If they keep adding cool updates like this, continuing to put new character customization, new, you know, it's becoming more like an MMO now. I know this wasn't what they were really trying to make it from the beginning, but it's starting to become more like that. And if they can get it to that scale, oh my gosh, dude, like this game's got some massive potential. I mean, absolutely massive potential. So I don't know. I mean, it could turn into a massive, like, infinite universe MMO kind of feeling to the game. So either way, I'll quit talking. Shout out to him, though. Definitely good job on this. I hope to see some of these certain things like Discoveries page improved, creature model types improved, stuff like that. But either way, appreciate you guys watching all the videos. Later, dudes.